Hi, it's Xavier from Expressions of Grace Bonsai, and tonight I'm going to set fire to my failures as we enjoy Bonfire Night the Bonsai way. Stay tuned. Who'd have thought? Bonfire Night already. What do? Bit of a bonsai nerd when it's Bonfire Night, and if I'm the only one doing this, I'll be very, very surprised. We make bonsai sparklers. And what do I use to make a bonsai sparkler? I'm glad you asked. Bonsai sparklers, what do we need? Well, straightforward. We need veiled air layers. We only had the one, but that was this one. Although I did learn from, name will come up about now, who did suggest I should have just put it straight back in the soil and it would have been fine. And she's quite right, but we're going to make a sparkler out of this. Obviously we need to be very wary of not setting fire to ourselves or our hair. Well, probably not much of an issue for me, and if I set fire to my hair, well, that's it, game over for me really. So yeah, we're going to have our Japanese maple bonsai sparkler, but it's also the time when we say a few words and remember some of our failures. I'm sure many of you, well, I don't know if many of you will, can recognize that. That was my other Japanese white pine. Never did get to the bottom of why it went up, but I have a feeling that those fronds are going, those needles are going to burn. In fact, they'll probably make a better sparkler. That might make my bonsai sparkler much better. So once the darkness falls, I think we'll start with that one, and then we'll go on to the Japanese maple veiled air layer. So there's that one. We've also got this one. Can you see it in there? This was my blueberry, and I had a blueberry. I used to produce 2 or 3 blueberries every year, which I'd eat, and this was literally one of my first bargain basement plants. It was about this big out. It had 2 lovely branches that came out. In fact, maybe a picture up. And then this year it just died. So we might have a blueberry sparkler, although I think that might just be a flame. This is very straight, and I have a funny feeling it was an apple. But truthfully, I don't know. But that didn't live. Then, in 2015, as I say, I got a load of Yamadori Japanese larch from a Welsh dig, and this was one of them. Lovely, great thing, but as you can see, he really didn't put out many roots. So I had it in a bucket for quite a while, hoping it would actually. He used to put out 1 or 2 things, but it'd been dead for a while. So I think that too will go for the backyard Halloween bonfire for Bonfire Night. So that's a Japanese larch. That would have been nice. And believe it or not, that's it. For all the things I said that were dying, majority have made this miraculous comeback. I think there's a hornbeam, but that's still got a bud or 2 on it. But there's this. I'm sure in one of my earlier videos I demonstrated that this one was a goner. Well, that's actually going to produce lovely shoots just here on that bend. That's going to make it even a better mame. So I'll be chopping that off. So that is not going on the bonfire. But then we may well be seeing that later on tonight. I've sort of brought it up in a couple of videos. This is a red oak. It just died off, but not sure. I haven't seen any buds set, so this could too join the bonfire of fame. But yeah, the other ones we were worried about was the large Chinese elm. You've seen from a previous video that's got all the bottom growth on it. Of course, we were also thinking about the corkbark elm. But again, I've shown you that in a previous video, that there's a little shoot from the base. So hopefully actually what we're going to do there is get a tree that's going to be about half the size as my head, but it's going to have this great big nabari on it. And I just need to grow the tree. Easy, isn't it? There was another one I thought was gone. I can't remember where it's gone now. It must have gone. Yeah, of course there was my other oak, which I was convinced was a goner, and that's come back beautifully. You saw that in the autumnal tour. I mean, there might be a couple of little weeny things lying around that might want to go up later, but yeah, I think we've probably got it, you know. There is stuff that's just hanging in that may go next year, but I like to keep it dry for these special events. Anyway, this is blah 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 blah. So next we're going to go to the bonfire sprinkler time. Now, oh dear, tell you what, it isn't half cold now. Just get these set up, little few there, little blueberry. Chuck that there as well. Okay. So what do you reckon? Is the Japanese maple going to make a better sparkler, or a Japanese white pine bonsai sparkler? Why don't you let me know in the comments? And while you're at it, you could also subscribe, hit like, share, bell notifications, ding ding. Anyone know the film? Yeah, so I'm going to get my son to do this because I'm not too hot with the naked flame. But we'll be back to it when it gets a little bit darker. And the other thing I thought I was going to do, which is just give you just a little bit of background on why Bonfire Night's celebrated in this country, and why perhaps as a Catholic I may not quite agree, and I may indeed go for my QAnon mask instead. But you can hear about more of that in a minute, which will probably be as quick as that. Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. There she goes. I'm all sure we know this is a nursery rhyme that covers the failed assassination attempt of King James I at the state opening of Parliament in 1605, alleged by Guy Fawkes. He and his conspirators were alleged to use 2 tons of explosive placed under the House of Lords. He was caught in the act of lighting the fuses. He was taken off, tortured, and then subsequently confessed. On the 31st of January 1606, he was hung, drawn, and quartered for the offence of high treason, in that he did try. So why would a man who was part of a provincial group of English Catholics take such treasonous attempts? What had gone on to make this to be the only rational course of action? And then look at the mask that's associated with the group. I think they call themselves Anonymous. It's the mask that was used in V for Vendetta. Okay, so we've got the bonsai bash going, and the failed trees are certainly getting flames. But what goes first? Japanese white pine as a sparkler. Here we go. So who thinks the Japanese white pine sparkler works better? Or, look at that, Japanese maple. The Japanese maple sparkler. What do you reckon, everybody? Happy Bonfire Night. But it's interesting they used a mask that is based on the effigy of Guy Fawkes. Why pick him? A man who's allegedly tried to tumble down the Parliament of England. What does this group represent? Well, actually, they represent fighters against unfair oppression. I mean, you look around the streets of London or many places, and that Guy Fawkes face is the face that declares resistance. And in many people's eyes now, that's seen as something good. Now, I'm not one to advocate violence in any way, shape or means to overcome things that are seen to be wrong. Let's take ourselves back to Henry VIII. In 1533, Henry VIII was desperate for a son. His lawful wife, Catherine of Aragon, had so far given him a daughter, Mary, at the current time then, the only legal heir for a king could be a son. So he was desperate for his next heir. He asked for the annulment of that marriage with no lawful reasons. Well, Pope Clement VII refused the annulment. There was no legitimate grounds. So the king, whether he forced Parliament, whether he certainly had something in their decision making, had them enact an order of supremacy. So he would have supremacy over all religious matters over the Pope, which, if you have any understanding of any of the Christian faith, the Catholic faith, will know that that's a schismatic act. And that caused the breakdown of the Church and later led to the creation of the Church of England as we know it now. With this new Church of England, it quickly became a problem being Catholic. In fact, many things were put in place to ensure that it became difficult, if not impossible, to become or to act as you should within your faith. And by 1562, an act of supremacy had been passed, and it soon became treason to either be a priest, to attend mass or confession, or to have any papal documents on you, which in layman's terms meant those acts which you'd use for your faith. Missal, which is the prayer book. The punishment in those times: arrest, confiscation, if you're caught for a second time, fines, and it could actually lead to death. And death then was under treason, which was to be hung, drawn and quartered. So at this time in the late 1500s, certainly at the time of Guy Fawkes and his treasonous group, Catholics were illegal, were being persecuted, were being put to death, were being oppressed, were being persecuted. And if we try to compare it to current times, I don't think there are many people who would have stood up and said that was the right thing to do. 1829, not that long ago really, the Emancipation Act was put in place to stop the discrimination and actually allowed for the first time in hundreds of years Catholics to take positions as members of Parliament. They could actually enact in decision making. So I come back. Why has this group Anonymous taken on the Guy Fawkes image for their mask? Because as they see it, he represented a figure that was fighting against unlawful oppression and religious persecution. But this is what England is remembering today when they start burning the Guy. And perhaps sometimes we should be a little bit more thoughtful about what it is we're doing, because myself as a Catholic do not celebrate this as a positive event. I certainly don't agree with the acts that took place then, but as a Catholic we were being persecuted at that time. Anyway, so as we watch my bonsai go up in flames, I just thought I'd give you a little bit of history and a little bit of background. So for those of you who are not aware of what Bonfire Night is all about, that's some of the history to it. Anyway, wish you all the best, and from Xavier, Expressions Grace Bonsai, happy bonsaiing, God bless.